Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Tuesdays. It feels like it's been longer in the week than it actually is. It's only Tuesday. All right, Argentina survives. I was rooting for Messi. I'm curious, who were you guys rooting for? I wanted to see Messi advance. I wanted to see that game coming up next against France in the knockout stage. I like superstars. I want superstars on the biggest possible stage, as painful as I'm sure it is for a young team from Nigeria. I wanted Argentina to advance. I wanted Messi to be there. This is a big win for Argentina. I still think France is going to get them in the next round, but at this point, when you get to the knockout stage, I think that a lot of the stress over moving into the World Cup is eliminated, because then it's just one game or you're gone. You don't have to worry about it at all. I think that France versus Argentina should be a phenomenal game, and I think that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Now, I got a big issue in general with penalty kicks being called in soccer, and I haven't talked about this a lot. People out there like soccer guys always like, "What are you talking about soccer?" Soccer guy simultaneously complains that you don't talk enough about soccer, and then as soon as you start talking about soccer, if your opinion differs than his, the reason why you have that opinion is because you're not enough of a soccer hipster to have the ability to make a call. I'm telling you right now, that penalty kick that was called on Argentina was total BS. You could literally call that a PK on every corner kick that has taken place all season long in the World Cup. It was garbage. Look, I played soccer. I played in high school. I am familiar with the beautiful game. You can't call that, because the swing of momentum based on whether a call is made. To me, a penalty kick should only be given when there is an egregious wrong. And there's no way that was an egregious wrong. It didn't impact the overall play. Guys have always had their hands, and as the commentator said, there's probably been 1,000 times that in that situation the Argentinian defender has lined up in that exact same way, and it's not called. I'm a big believer in making sure that the game reflects what we saw on the field. And by and large, Argentina dominated that game. So when Nigeria got the opportunity to come back and make that penalty kick, well-delivered penalty kick, score, it changed the overall fabric of the game in too substantial of a manner. There is nothing that alters the trajectory of a game more than a penalty kick that is awarded in a dicey situation. And I thought that was a incredibly dicey situation. I thought that the penalty kick might well have been rewarded on the handball, even though I didn't think it was intentional. It was like awkwardly played. I think the only way you call a PK on a handball too is if it's being used in a way to advance your cause. I thought that was just an example of a guy who lost control of his body a little bit trying to play defense. I thought that call might have been made if they hadn't already given the other score, basically away to Nigeria on that play. By the way, Messi almost put away the game with the first goal, but the second goal, he nearly hit a perfect strike from just outside of the penalty box area. That was beautiful to watch. So anyway, I think the right team won. Argentina dominated possession for most of that game. They had the better opportunities to score. They deserve to win. I'm excited to see them play against France. Any questions rolling out of the World Cup from any of you guys? For me, who is obviously a World Cup savant. Few people in the world know more about the World Cup than me. And by the way, I just hope this doesn't end up getting my Periscope blocked again, because the last time I mentioned FIFA or the World Cup on this Periscope, they blocked me and got the show knocked off. So if you missed Thursday's show about Kevin McHale, I'm going to reinforce some of the things that I said in Thursday's show, because it was down for several days. It's now back up. If you're watching on Periscope, Facebook, it never got taken down. And we now have a YouTube channel. So if you type in Clay Travis on YouTube, you can go see every video I've ever done for the last several months. They're all lined up. You can search them by topic. It's pretty cool. But yeah, they put down a notice that demanded that my show be taken down. Hopefully Periscope will be more aggressive in protecting me going forward. They said I committed a copyright violation when the only thing I do on this show is sit, look into a camera, and have a backdrop behind me. There's no video. The only person who has a copyright on anything here is me. So FIFA didn't want me to talk about their product immediately after the last time when I put it in the headline. So hopefully they don't block me here. I tried to wait a few extra minutes so that if they're just randomly blocking everybody who uses the word Argentina or Messi and claiming that it's a copyright violation, I got to be honest with you, it's ridiculous. But that is what is going on there. I believe Oscar Robertson last night at the NBA awards, where James Harden won the MVP, Ben Simmons won Rookie of the Year. Whatever you think about the fact that he was out and then he came back, he won Rookie of the Year. Dwayne Casey won Coach of the Year despite the fact that he was fired by the Toronto Raptors and has since, I believe, been hired by the Detroit Pistons, if I'm not wrong. I got to tell you, he also, Oscar Robertson, said, how come we don't hear any white athletes speaking out about social justice warrior issues effectively? This, of course, was grabbed and run with by ESPN, who has been trumpeting this all day long. Wait a minute, how come white athletes aren't outspoken politically? Let me sum this up for you really simply. Because you would crush them if they were outspoken politically. Because you have chosen one side of the aisle in the sports media. And if you have a liberal perspective, you are allowed to say whatever you want. Even when you lie like Michael Bennett, nobody calls you out on it. You are universally praised if you are Greg Popovich, if you are Steve Kerr, if you are LeBron James, and you go out and you take shots at Donald Trump. If you do anything remotely close to saying anything positive about Donald Trump, you are thrown to the wolves and crushed. To wit, all Tom Brady did was have a hat in his locker, and everybody crushed him for his relationship with Donald Trump and demanded that he disavow that friendship. Kevin McHale just went to a Donald Trump rally, was pictured on the internet in that rally, has never said anything, isn't active on social media, and many people lined up and said he should not continue to be employed in the world of sports because he had the audacity to show up at a Donald Trump rally. So it is amazing to me that ESPN can have all their left-wing demagogues get on their television shows and read the riot act to white athletes who are not being outspoken in politics when all they really want is white athletes to say the exact same thing that they already believe. And if you have the gall to exercise your First Amendment rights or not even say a word, just put a hat in your locker or go to a rally, you get crushed. The answer for why white athletes are not outspoken politically is because we don't have an even playing field. You can't be outspoken politically and even keep your job if you are a white athlete. Curt Schilling got fired for agreeing with the state of North Carolina that you should use the bathroom on your birth certificate. Now, I don't care about transgender bathroom issues. I think you should use whatever bathroom you want. If you look like a boy, use the boy bathroom. If you look like a girl, use the girl bathroom. But Curt Schilling got fired for agreeing with the law passed by the state of North Carolina. The NBA pulled their All-Star game out of the state of North Carolina. The ACC pulled their title game out of the state of North Carolina as well. You can't be moderate or conservative and be able to share your opinion in this current environment without getting raked over the coals. Perfect example of this is Tim Thomas. Do you remember Tim Thomas? He was the Boston Bruin goalie. He made the decision not to go to the White House when Barack Obama was president. ESPN, Bleacher Report, CNN SI, all of the major media outlets, Huffington Post, ripped him to shreds, saying, how in the world could you put your own personal politics above the team and not go to celebrate a championship at a ceremonial place like the White House? What happens now when athletes decide not to go to the White House with Donald Trump there? You would think that they are the modern day Mahatma Gandhi. They get praised to the high heavens for that decision. It's the exact opposite of what happened to Tim Thomas when everybody ripped him for not having the willingness to do that. All right? It is crazy in and of itself, by and large, that we live in an era where something like this could happen, but welcome to the modern era where we don't have any at all freedom and equality when it comes to the right to share your First Amendment opinions. All I have to do in response to that question is say, hey, look at what happened to Tom Brady. All he had to do was have a hat in his locker, and everybody asked him to disavow Donald Trump. Tons of editorials out there saying it was unacceptable that he was friends with Donald Trump. Okay? Look at what happened to Kevin McHale. He shows up at a rally. We don't know why he was there. He might have gone just because he wanted to go see the president in person. I've certainly done that. I've been fortunate to see the president in person just drive by. George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan when I was a little kid. Most people don't get to meet presidents. If they come to your town, it's a big deal. You like to go to the rally even if you don't agree with everything they said. The truth of the matter is this: we don't have fair and equal treatment in the world of sports. If you are a far left-wing ideologue, you get praise to the high heavens, even if you're a lying, race-baiting fraud like Michael Bennett. If you are honest and share your opinions, like Curt Schilling, even if you don't like Curt Schilling's opinions, you get fired and you're not allowed. This is in my book, my new book that's coming out in September, Republicans Buy Sneakers Too. But I want you guys to think about this for a minute. Think about how crazy this is. ESPN employees donated 270 times the amount of money to Hillary Clinton's campaign as they did to Donald Trump's campaign. 270 times. Everybody talks about how biased the media is that covers politics. They donated 27 times the amount of money to Hillary Clinton as Donald Trump. So the sports media at ESPN was 270 times as likely, 10 times as likely as the political media to actually share revenue with Hillary Clinton as Donald Trump. On top of that, as if that were not a crazy enough statistic, I want you to think about this for a minute. How many people currently employed by ESPN are on the record as voting for Donald Trump for president? That's something like 64 million people nationwide voted for Donald Trump for president. Do you know how many people on air at ESPN are on the record as Donald Trump voters? 0. Think about how crazy that is. Half of the country, whether you like him or not, voted for Donald Trump. How many people are on the record at ESPN on the air talking about sports who have publicly admitted to voting for Donald Trump? 0. 0! Think about how crazy that is in this day and age where everybody's like, oh, we want diversity. What they mean is cosmetic diversity, not intellectual diversity. Not one person voted for Donald Trump and has gone public as doing so that is currently employed by ESPN. They gave 270 times the money to Hillary Clinton as a company based on all their employees as they gave to Donald Trump. Again, this is in my book, Republicans Buy Sneakers Too. Can you possibly think to yourself, oh, this is a fair and equal company where all opinions are welcome? Of course not. And that's why I say right now, with all of the attacks on Donald Trump, every day right now, I'm becoming more likely to vote for him in 2020. Do you know why I'm more likely to vote for him? Because ultimately, to me, there is one big decision that matters to me. And that is this: the First Amendment and boobs. Donald Trump has not been great for the First Amendment in what he has said. He threatens media, everybody else. But what he's actually done is create a flourishing market for the First Amendment. And what Donald Trump does is interesting. And what Republicans have begun to do is interesting too. They've become the party for free speech. Republicans may not agree with what Democrats say, but you very rarely, if ever, hear them say, I disagree with you, and you don't deserve to have that opinion, and you don't deserve to have a job. Just about every time a Democrat these days disagrees with anything that's the least bit controversial, they follow it up with, you don't have a right to have that opinion, that's an unacceptable opinion, and you shouldn't have a job. Look at what happens with all of the boycotts out there. You don't have to agree with Laura Ingraham when she says shut up and dribble to LeBron James. But certainly that's a part of the national discourse. If you want LeBron James to step into the equation and Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, I don't have to universally agree that they're geniuses and praise them for having a political opinion. I can also point out that their political opinion is not particularly smart. That's the truth. Trump said Jamel Hill's comment was a fireable offense. That's different than you should be fired. There are lots of things that are fireable offenses. He didn't say that, by the way. The spokesperson did. He said it was a fireable offense. To me, it is. If Kurt Schilling getting fired for saying that he agrees with the North Carolina transgender bathroom bill, then how can Jamel Hill call the President of the United States and his supporters white supremacists and have no consequences whatsoever? I got a crazy idea. I don't think Kurt Schilling should have been fired, and I don't think that anybody should be fired for what Jamel Hill said. I think it's bad politics. I think Jamel Hill is single-handedly destroying ESPN's brand. I think Jamel Hill had an opportunity, and I liked her and thought she was really talented. I thought she had an opportunity to be the Oprah of sports. Instead, Twitter has turned her into the Al Sharpton of sports. She has no appeal outside of a very narrow far left clientele. Again, I make an incredible argument laying all this out I got to tell you, in my most recent book, which you guys are going to love. It's phenomenal. I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. And I'm telling you right now, go buy it. Republicans Buy Sneakers Too. It's out almost exactly 3 months from today, September 25th. If you like this argument, you're going to love it written out. And you're going to read it and you're going to say, my God, finally somebody is saying what I have been thinking. God bless Clay Travis for being a genius. Or you're going to read it and you're going to be like, Clay Travis doesn't have the right to have an opinion. Clay Travis should be shut up forever. Clay Travis should be fired for having this opinion. And if you do that, you'll be a social justice warrior. If you read it and you think to yourself, damn, I'm glad somebody is finally speaking truth to power, then you'll read it and you'll absolutely love it. And speaking of Jamel Hill, I don't know how this happened, but now she's evidently doing interviews for BET. I don't know how or why ESPN would allow her to do interviews with BET, but she evidently did an interview with the rapper T.I., and he said he's going to boycott the Super Bowl because he's upset about national anthem protests. Here's what I would do. I would, at this point in time, if I were ESPN and I cared about keeping my $2 billion deal with the NFL in place, I would tell Jamel Hill to hit the road. I think she's bad for business now. She clearly does not bring any audience. She's getting dunked on regularly by the audience that's being produced in the 6 p.m. Sports Center by her replacements. It's been Sage Steele and Kevin Nagandi, I think is how you pronounce his name. They're dominating the ratings that she and Michael Smith produced. I would kick her to the curb, continue to pay her if you want to, let her have nothing to do with ESPN anymore because she is single-handedly a suicide bomber blowing up ESPN's goodwill across the nation. And why in the world is she interviewing T.I. for his opinion about the Super Bowl? This doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you boycott the nation's most popular sporting event because you're upset about the national anthem? Do you have any kind of functional brainwaves that comprehend how being an employee works? When you are in uniform at work, you do not have the right to advocate for your political beliefs anywhere. Why would you think that you have the right to do it as a member of an NFL football team too? Is he going to boycott the NBA because they have a more restrictive policy when it comes to standing for the anthem? I fundamentally don't understand how dumb you can be to believe that people care about your political beliefs at work in uniform. And if you take it outside of football, nobody even argues it. T.I. would lose his mind and immediately share a video if a white police officer walked up to a motorist wearing a Make America Great Again hat and would demand that he get fired instantaneously. Why, if that's not permissible for a police officer and you would immediately demand that person be fired, would you think it makes sense for another business to allow that when it comes to on the field protests? It's nonsensical, and the fact that people can't understand this makes my brain sometimes hurt. Again, it's well discussed, it's well argued in my column. In my book, Republicans Buy Sneakers Too. I spend a lot of time on this because I can't believe, with all of the people that work in sports media, I'm the only person who is willing or able to dive into this story and actually point out how absurd it is. Nobody is going to protest the Super Bowl in Atlanta. If they do want to protest the Super Bowl in Atlanta, I hope they give me their tickets to the Super Bowl, because I will give them to you to go to the Super Bowl in Atlanta. I will be down there broadcasting all week. I can guarantee you that. We'll be hanging out in Atlanta, and it should be a lot of fun. But this is a ridiculous proposition that a boycott of the NFL should happen. And again, everybody who's an employee, Jamel Hill, her single most important deal that her employer has is with the NFL. If you're the NFL and you've got Jamel Hill, ESPN employee, encouraging everybody to boycott your business and the biggest event that your business partner puts on all year, why in the world would they continue to employ her? It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. It's similar to players not understanding where their paycheck comes from. I don't understand how people who work in sports media don't understand where their paycheck comes from. You are a pinprick, Jamel Hill, of the importance of the NFL to ESPN. The fact that they continue to employ you and allow you to hurt their business with the NFL is insane to me. She is basically a suicide bomber trying to blow up the relationship between ESPN and the NFL. And look, I don't blame them. If I were the NFL, given all the crap that ESPN has given us, why in the world would I want to re-up with that network? I don't think it makes any sense at all. All right, now I do think this is interesting, and I want to hit you guys with this. This is intriguing. One of the big problems that we have in this country today is that many times people decide that they don't like each other, don't like the other political party, with misguided notions of who actually belongs to the other political party. This is pretty amazing. This is according to a survey. I don't know if you saw me tweeting this out, but this is an amazing survey. They asked Democrats, how many Republicans earn $250,000 a year or more? Democrats were asked how many Republicans earn $250,000 a year or more. They said 44% of Republicans earn $250,000 a year or more. The actual number, you ready for it? 2%. 2% of Republican voters earn $250,000 or more. According to Democrats, 44%. And I tweeted out the link to this article on Twitter. You can go read it yourself if you would like to read the full article yourself. That is amazing. Also, there were many other aspects of this survey that were flawed. How many Republicans are 65 or older? The actual share, 21% of the Republican Party. According to Democrats, 44%. How many were evangelicals? Actual share, 34% of the Republican Party. Democrats estimated 44. How many were Southerners? 36% is the actual number. Estimated by Democrats, 44. All right, you may think all that's ridiculous. That is Democrats identifying Republicans. Well, what about Republicans IDing Democrats? They were similarly misapplied here. How many people are agnostics or atheists? They don't believe in God or choose not to make a decision. Republicans estimated 36% of the Democratic Party was made up of those voters. It was actually 9%. How about how many people were union members? It's actually 11% of union members are also Democrats, estimated by Republicans, 44%. How many were lesbian, bisexual, or gay? Is that what the L, the B, and the G stand for? I get them all confused now. I think that's lesbian, bi, or gay, right? But now there's all these other signifiers. Republicans estimated it was 38% of the Democratic Party. The actual percentage, 6%. And finally, what percentage of the Democratic Party is black? Estimated by Republicans, 46% of the Democratic Party is black. The actual reality, 24%. And this is one of those stats that I think sometimes blows people's minds. Do you know what percentage of the population in America is black? Does anybody know what percentage of the population in America is actually black? This is like, data points matter. I'm a data guy. 12%. 12 to 13%. 87% or 88% of people who live in America are not black. I think based on the way the media covers race in this country, you would think it's infinitely higher than the percentage that it actually is. Worth keeping in mind, because when you see a stat like this, I think people fear, in general, other people who don't look like them. I think that's typical. It's tribal, not necessarily by any stretch of the imagination accurate, but that's where stereotypes come from. You see somebody who doesn't look like you, and you perceive them as a threat very often, and that goes for different races, sexes, everything else. But the fact to me, when I jump out at this and think that Republicans believe 46% of all Democrats are black, it's mathematically impossible, just like it's mathematically impossible for 44% of Republicans to make $250K or more. Many people in the world of politics right now, because of the way social media works, believe fundamental untruths and stereotypes of the other side, and they don't get actual data to prove what is real and what is not. So I just thought that if you are intrigued by those studies at all, I tweeted it out. I'm at Clay Travis on Twitter for everybody watching on Facebook. Go read that article. I feel like many times we have a misapprehension of what the world and what our country actually looks like, and that in many ways can go and help. There's so many things that are fundamentally wrong about the way Republicans think about Democrats and the way Democrats think about Republicans, that oftentimes I think that colors the way that people respond to stories such as these. All right. I love all of you. I hope you enjoyed Argentina and Messi, unless you're a big Nigeria fan or you had Nigeria on the money line. I can't wait to see what happens with Argentina and France. I'll be live tomorrow, as I am every single Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 300 a.m. FM station, satellite radio. Go download the podcast. We're blowing up in a good way. Go buy the book. The book is out. Republicans Buy Sneakers Too. I appreciate all of you coming and hanging out with me. DBAT, boys and girls, but sometimes SBAT. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. Go to sportsbookreview.com. Get your bets in for the World Cup and where LeBron is going to end up. And go to my guy Ryan Kelly at thehomeloanexpert.com. Get a pre-cleared for a mortgage today, or also wipe out your credit card debt with a brand new mortgage. I am Clay Travis. Kisses. Don't be a pussy. I'll see you guys tomorrow. This is Outkick the Show.